In this episode of Conversation with Faisal, we have been joined by Mr. Rob Dempsey, a community member of our Peace region. It's great to have you here, Rob.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. So, please tell us about your roles as a community member of our Peace region.
Okay, well, I've lived here for a number of years now with my family, and I currently work at the high school, or I'm employed as a teacher. I'm also a person who does volunteer in the work in the community, and that's kind of the extent of my role.
Thank you. And what are the best things you like about the Peace community?
Oh, I love the Peace community. It's a wonderful place to live. It's a very tight-knit community, possessed of a lot of common sense, and it's the people who live here are very kind and generous.
Thank you. And please tell us a little more about your teaching career. How do you enjoy that?
Well, I love teaching. It's absolutely the best job I've ever had. It's a real privilege to instill knowledge in young people's mind, and of course I learn a lot from them too. Right. So it's kind of a two-way process. You know, I instruct and I learn.
Great. And what are your areas of expertise as an academic?
I have degrees in education and history, and I'm also a graduate student as well, which is also in history. Yes.
Thank you. And what has motivated you to run for the MLA position?
Well, first of all, I'm very committed to democracy. I think people deserve choices. I think that I offer a good choice, and the party that I represent does. I feel like we've had too many years of Christy Clark and her government, and I don't feel like it's a government that represents the needs of the people.
And please tell us a little more in terms of the critical issues faced by our region.
Well, we have a number of problems here that I really don't think get adequately addressed. I don't think education has been properly funded in the last 4 years. I think only recently, and it was only because of a court ruling that we finally got some movement on classroom composition and the size of classrooms, which the current government, Christy Clark's government, dismissed as unimportant. That class size wasn't important. Even all the teachers knew that was wrong. So we need to better support education. We need to better support healthcare. We have all kinds of problems. We have overworked doctors. We haven't got care beds for our parents when they need them. These are the kind of problems I think that really need to be dealt with. And we're being smothered by high costs. High hydro rates, ICBC rates are up there. I think these are all issues that really need to be addressed. I think we need to get rid of MSP premiums. They're extremely expensive for families.
And if you become the MLA, how would you like to develop the region economically?
Well, I think we need to invest in people. We need to make it easier for people to get ahead here. We need to not smother them with crippling costs. We need to support our children when they want to train for a profession or a vocation, that we don't saddle them with expensive student loans, that we make our schools accessible and reasonably priced with good tuition rates. I think we can do more perhaps to support small business with perhaps a tax break there. And those are all things I think that would make the northeastern part of British Columbia a lot more prosperous.
And how do you think our youth can be supported further, in your opinion?
Well, going back to what I said about accessibility for education, right now we have students who are choosing what schools they will and won't go to after they're done high school, sometimes simply based on financial considerations, and it really frustrates me. I have a student who opted out of going to one school that she really wanted to because she simply couldn't afford it, and she was really worried she was going to be saddled with enormous student loans, which also get charged interest for when you take them out, and I think she was just really concerned that was going to be a real burden for her once she had done her training. So.
And what's your vision of an ideal healthcare system?
We have a healthcare system that actually meets the needs of the public, so that, you know, if somebody needs to go and see a doctor, they don't have to wait a month to get an appointment, that they can get in to see a specialist, and there are specialists available, that we don't need to, you know, leave BC to go and see a specialist in Alberta. We need to, again, do more to accommodate our seniors population. I don't think we're doing enough for that. Right now they want to put more people on home care when that's not what we need. We need care beds for our parents.
And how would you like to support the Aboriginal communities of our region?
Well, I think we can support the Aboriginal communities within our community and our region by having a respectful relationship, one that's based on honesty and a willingness to engage in productive conversations with the intention of coming up with reasonable solutions to whatever issues we might come up against.
Thank you. And other than this, please comment on a famous quote of Carol Burnett: "Only I can change my life, no one can do it for me."
Wow, she's referring to her belief that people need to be responsible for themselves, and that, you know, that we need to take our life under control, and that we need to be responsible for the change that we believe is important. And I feel like running for office, for me personally, is a step in that direction. That, you know, I want to give back to the community. I really want to make this a better place for my family and the people who live here in our communities up north.
And what do you think is the difference between a boss and a leader?
Bosses tell, leaders inspire by example. They persuade, they seek consensus, rather than working purely on a basis of authority. I really believe in people working cooperatively together to get things done. And that's part of the reason why I ran for office, because I think that's actually a really good basis for government too. I think government is really useful when people work together cooperatively to achieve what the community needs, as opposed to the principle of every man for himself.
Thank you, sir. And who are role models to you?
Role models for me, I think when I start thinking of role models, I think of people like my parents. They served as wonderful role models for me. My father ran a small business. My mom was a registered nurse for 45 years or something like that. They worked hard, and life treated them well, and they instilled us with good values and a good sense of right and wrong. I'm really proud to be their son.
And what does social justice mean to you?
Social justice means that we live in a community that embraces fairness and equality and justice, and that everybody is included in the community, not with some excluded, and that we treat people with consideration, respect, and that we are considerate and compassionate, and that social justice is about understanding other people's points of view.
Thank you. And what would be your ideal vision of our peace community?
I'd like to see our community prosperous. I'd like to see people be able to get ahead in this community without terrible financial burdens. I'd like to see us have adequate access to healthcare and education. And I think when we have these things, we're going to have a much happier and prosperous society.
And which areas of law do you enjoy teaching the most?
I think if I had to choose, I'd probably choose, and I know this sounds kind of dull for some people, but constitutional law. And the reason being is that is where we get our basis of law. That is where we live by principles such as equality before the law. That's where we find our Constitution, that's where we find our human rights, that's where they're protected under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And I really enjoy having discussions with my students in particular about the various aspects of that. It's really, really important, I think, for all of us to have a good understanding of of what a benefit it is for us to live in a society of laws where people can expect to be treated with fairness and justice.
Great, thank you. And tell us a little more about your family, please.
Well, I've been married for 16 years now. I have 3 grown children, and they all are doing their thing. 2 of them they're in the workforce now, and one of them is in school at Douglas College down in New Westminster. Yeah, everything is going well there.
And finally, what's your message for the peace community?
Well, I just like to say that I think we've had enough of Christy Clark and her government, and I think it's time for real change. And I think we need a government that represents all the people, not just some of the people.
Thank you for coming to the program, and we wish you all the best, sir.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Thank you.